is Hnath. I'm a playwright. I wrote Red Speedo. It's about swimmers who are trying to get ahead and using performance-enhancing drugs to do it, but it's a play about fairness, and it's a play about, well, how do we gauge what's fair? And it sort of questions whether or not performance-enhancing drugs really is as immoral as we think it is, and maybe it's a distraction from other activity that's a bit more questionable in terms of morality. To some degree, there is an insurmountable limit to what you can accomplish given the restrictions of your body, and this notion that to some degree your body really does limit what you can accomplish is upsetting. I grew up about 7 minutes from Disney World, which is a kind of a total theatrical environment. So I think that was actually my first introduction to theater. And then beyond that, coming to New York with the intention of being pre-med, I encountered the works of Richard Foreman and Carol Churchill and the Wooster Group, and that made me jump ship into deciding to be a playwright. What I'm really interested in, the reason why I tend to write plays and not movies or TV, is because with a play you get to make this three-dimensional machine, this object that exists in live space. During my first year of college, I had a very easy time with the science courses. Actually, English writing always gave me a bit more trouble. But I found that that's what I was doing in my off time. And so I'm not quite sure why I really took the leap of applying to transfer to the Department of Dramatic Writing at NYU, but I just did. My first sort of large production in the outside world that I had not personally put up myself was actually at the Ontological Theater, Richard Foreman's theater. I had written the libretto for an opera based on a Zen koan about a woman whose body separates from its soul. And then my first proper professional production was Death Tax at the Humana Festival of New Plays. I'm a member of Ensemble Studio Theater. They had commissioned a play many years ago about Isaac Newton, and that became a play called Isaac's Eye. A lot of times I experiment quite a bit with form, but the sort of the nuts and bolts dramaturgy of my plays is very classical. So for me, I have to do the story math of figuring out, okay, what's the character trying to get, what stands in the way, I'll try to figure out some sort of primal objective for the character and some sort of dumb concrete objective, and those two have to come together in some interesting way, and it has to be interesting for 80 minutes. And so it's really just, it's dumb math in a lot of ways for me. There are certain themes that come back again and again. One of them is knowing. How do you know something, and how do you know that you know something, and how do you know that somebody's not lying to you? In fact, I think I once put all of my plays into some sort of program on the internet that analyzes the number of times words appear, and you know, striking out articles. The word know, K-N-O-W, is I think the most common word in my plays. It's very methodical, it's very scientific. And sometimes to a fault. And then I can recognize when that's happening, and I can find ways to smash it up and make it more unexpected. I can't write the play unless I can picture it. And I have to be able to see in my head how the space is being used. I think a lot about the lights, how the lights are operating. I think a lot about how the bodies occupy the space and interact with it. So I have to see everything, otherwise I have no idea what to put on the page. I always direct the first workshops of my plays so that I can learn better the theatrical grammar of the thing, and I can understand better how the play works. And then I'll typically hand it over to another director. Finding more ways to get play texts out into the world, I think, is useful. I mean, Chuck Mee was a huge pioneer in this respect. I don't know how the licensors would feel about me of my work would feel about me saying this, but that he put all of his texts, or almost all of his texts, online for free to read and perform with his permission. was extraordinary. First thing is to find theater companies that you like and get to know them on some sort of ground floor level. Go to their shows, meet the people there, ask to have coffee with them. The other thing that I tend to advise is if you can write two really solid plays that you've tested out, you've done readings of them, they work, and you submit, let's say, two really solid full-length plays and one really fantastic 10-minute play to more places than you can remember submitting them, you're going to start getting responses.